Naina Kapoor was 32 years old, lived in Charleston, South Carolina, and worked as a financial compliance manager for a luxury hotel chain that specialized in private resorts, beach villas, and elite membership properties. Her entire career revolved around patterns. She noticed hidden charges, suspicious reimbursements, inflated invoices, and people who quietly assumed they could spend someone else's money if they smiled confidently enough while doing it. That was probably why the email from her older sister hit her so hard. The subject line read, "Family Contribution Breakdown, Heir of Engagement Celebration." Attached below was a spreadsheet. Naina opened it while sitting alone in her apartment after an 11-hour workday. Rain tapped softly against the balcony doors, while cold pasta sat untouched beside her laptop. The spreadsheet was color-coded, professionally organized, and disturbingly detailed. Her sister, Ria, had assigned financial responsibilities to each family member for their younger brother Arav's luxury engagement party at a private vineyard outside Charlotte. Decorations. Live band, imported flowers, custom champagne wall, weekend villa booking. At the bottom of the spreadsheet, beside Naina's name, was a highlighted yellow box. Pending contribution, $4,500. Underneath it, Ria had added a note. "You make the most, so this is fair. Family supports family." Naina stared at the sentence for a very long time. 3 days earlier had been her birthday. Nobody in her family had called. Not her mother, not her father, not Ria, not Arav, not even a text. At first, she had tried to excuse it the same way she always did. Everyone was busy. Arav was preparing for his engagement. Her parents were traveling. Ria had 2 children and constantly complained about exhaustion. Life happened, but apparently life had not been too busy to organize a luxury engagement weekend, or too busy to calculate exactly how much money Naina should contribute. Her throat tightened as she scrolled farther down the spreadsheet. There were separate columns showing who would attend the private dinner, the vineyard tasting, and the after-party brunch. Her name did not appear anywhere. Not guest, not attendee, not family table. Only contribution. For a moment, she honestly thought it had to be a mistake. Then she remembered something painful. Mistakes happen once. Patterns happen repeatedly. This was the 4th year in a row her birthday had been ignored. Last year, they forgot entirely until 2 weeks later, when her mother casually mentioned, "Oh, we thought maybe you were traveling." The year before that, Ria had accidentally posted a birthday tribute for a coworker on the same day and never realized it was also Naina's birthday. The year before that, Arav had called only because he needed help reviewing a lease agreement. Naina leaned back slowly in her chair and laughed once under her breath. Not because anything was funny, but because the alternative was crying hard enough to embarrass herself in an empty apartment. She reopened the spreadsheet. At the very bottom, beneath payment instructions, was another sentence from Ria. "Please transfer your portion by Friday so we can finalize luxury bookings." Luxury bookings. Naina looked around her apartment. No expensive furniture, no designer decorations, no extravagant lifestyle. She worked constantly, saved carefully, paid her bills on time, and avoided unnecessary spending. Meanwhile, her family treated her financial stability like a community resource. Her phone buzzed, a message from her mother. "Did Ria send you the spreadsheet? We need payments quickly." Not "How was your birthday?" Not "Sorry we forgot." Not even "How are you?" Only money? Something inside Naina became very still. She opened her banking apps first. Then she opened every shared account connected to her family. Her parents still used her streaming subscriptions. Ria had access to one of her emergency credit cards. Arav used her travel reward account. Her father's phone bill auto-paid through her secondary card because it was easier. Her mother still ordered groceries occasionally through Naina's premium delivery account. Every small favor had seemed harmless individually. Together, they formed an entire ecosystem powered quietly by her guilt. Naina spent the next 3 hours removing access. She canceled authorized users, changed passwords, logged out connected devices, removed backup payment methods, canceled family plans, disabled shared subscriptions, enabled 2-factor authentication on everything. Each click hurt more than she expected. Not because she regretted it, because she realized how long she had confused being needed with being loved. Around midnight, she sent one message to the family group chat. Effective immediately, all accounts and financial services under my name are private. Please arrange your own subscriptions and payments moving forward. Then she turned her phone face down. 20 minutes later, the calls started. Mom, Dad, Ria, Arav. Then the messages arrived one after another. Why did Netflix stop working? My card declined for groceries. Why am I logged out of Spotify? The travel account disappeared. What are you doing? Not one person mentioned her birthday. Not one person asked if she was okay. The silence around that omission hurt worse than yelling ever could. Finally, Ria sent a voice note. Her tone carried that familiar combination of fake patience and buried irritation. Naina, honestly, this drama is exhausting. Arav's engagement is important. Don't make this entire week about yourself. Naina replayed the message twice. Then she typed back only one sentence. My birthday mattered too. 3 dots appeared. Stopped. Appeared again. Finally, Ria replied, You're too old to still care this much about birthdays? Naina stared at the screen until it blurred. Too old to want acknowledgement. Too old to matter. Too old to expect basic love. But apparently not too old to fund a vineyard weekend for people who forgot she existed until payments were due. The next morning, the family group chat exploded. Her father wrote, You embarrassed your mother. Her mother wrote, The grocery order failed in the middle of checkout. Arav wrote, My fiancé thinks you hate her now. Ria added, You always ruin major events. Naina read every message carefully. Not one apology. Not 1 ounce of accountability. Only inconvenience. Her phone rang again. This time it was her father. She answered quietly. Naina, he said immediately, turn everything back on. No. The silence that followed turned cold instantly. What did you say? I said no. You are behaving irrationally. No, she replied calmly. I'm behaving differently. That's why it feels irrational to you. He exhaled sharply. You're punishing the family because people forgot one birthday. 4 birthdays. That's not the issue right now. Exactly. That sentence landed like confirmation. Her birthday mattered so little to them that even discussing it annoyed them. Her father continued talking. Arav's engagement weekend is already expensive. Your contribution was important. My contribution, Naina repeated softly. Interesting word choice. You know what I mean. No, she said. I don't think I do anymore. He grew impatient. You're single. You live alone. You have a high-paying job. Why are you suddenly acting selfish with money? There it was. The truth underneath everything. Because she had no husband or children. Her finances were considered available. Because she was responsible, she was expected to absorb everyone else's irresponsibility. Because she rarely complained, they assumed she had no emotional needs. Naina closed her eyes briefly. I'm not paying for a party I'm not invited to. It was probably an oversight. No, she said quietly. It was a decision. Her father's voice hardened. You've always been too sensitive. That sentence followed her entire life. Too sensitive when she cried. Too sensitive when she protested. Too sensitive when she noticed unfairness. Too sensitive when she asked for equal treatment. Eventually, too sensitive became the family's way of saying, we don't want to feel guilty. Arav suddenly grabbed the phone. Naina, seriously, what is wrong with you? Nothing. You're acting insane over money. No, I'm reacting to disrespect. He laughed bitterly. It's just money. No, she replied. It's acknowledgement. He scoffed. You know how stressful engagement planning is. And you know when my birthday is? Silence. Then he muttered, You always make things emotional. She almost smiled at that. As if emotions appearing inside a family were somehow inappropriate. After the call ended, Naina sat alone at her desk, staring out the office window, while sunlight reflected off Charleston Harbor below. For years, she had convinced herself that being patient made her mature. Now she wondered if she had simply trained people to believe they could neglect her without consequences. That afternoon, another notification appeared. Fraud investigation request initiated. Her stomach dropped. Ria had contacted the bank claiming her authorized card removal was suspicious. 10 minutes later, another alert appeared from a subscription service dispute. Then another from the mobile carrier. Her family was reporting access issues on accounts that legally belonged to her. For a moment, Naina simply sat there in stunned silence. Then she laughed once in disbelief. They genuinely believed access to her finances was their right. She immediately started documenting everything. Screenshots, messages, emails, dispute alerts, payment requests, every detail. Then she called her closest friend, Daniel Mercer, a corporate attorney she had known since college. After listening quietly, he said, "Naina, keep every receipt." This stopped being emotional the second they involved financial disputes. His words changed something in her brain. Because suddenly she saw the situation clearly. Her family thought they were punishing her, but they were actually documenting entitlement. By Friday, the Vineyard venue threatened cancellation due to incomplete payments. Apparently, Ria had attempted to process the deposit through the card she no longer had access to. The charge failed twice. The venue emailed everyone politely requesting updated payment authorization. Ria accidentally included Naina in the reply chain while angrily insisting, "This card should still work." Naina stared at the message for a full minute. No apology, no embarrassment, no self-awareness, only outrage that her access to someone else's money had ended. Arav texted minutes later. "You're humiliating me in front of Priya's family." Naina replied, "Then pay your own bills." He responded instantly, "You've become a horrible person." She put her phone down without answering. Later that evening, she opened social media and saw that Ria had posted a vague story. Some people resent happiness because they don't have any of their own. Hundreds of people viewed it. Mutual relatives reacted sympathetically. Nobody knew the real situation. Naina considered defending herself publicly. Then she stopped. People committed to misunderstanding you rarely become clearer because you explain more. That night, she sat quietly on her balcony, wrapped in a blanket, while city lights shimmered beyond the harbor. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to admit something painful. She was tired. Tired of earning love through usefulness. Tired of financing relationships. Tired of being emotionally invisible until someone needed a payment. She cried softly into her hands. Not dramatic sobbing. Just the exhausted grief of someone finally acknowledging how lonely they had been inside their own family. The next morning, her mother texted, "We need to meet immediately." Another message followed seconds later. "Your father is furious. Not 'we want to understand.' Not 'we're sorry.' Only anger." Daniel advised her not to meet privately. So Naina agreed to meet them at a public cafe near the waterfront. Her mother responded instantly. "Good. Come prepared to explain yourself." Naina stared at the sentence for a long time. Then she printed everything. The spreadsheet. The missing guest list. The dispute reports. The insults. The payment demands. The social media posts. She placed them carefully into a gray folder. Across the front, she wrote one word: evidence. When she arrived at the cafe the next afternoon, her family was already seated. Her mother wore elegant makeup and an expression designed to communicate suffering. Her father sat rigidly beside her. Ria scrolled through her phone impatiently. Arav looked irritated more than angry, like someone inconvenienced by customer service delays. No one hugged her. No one mentioned her birthday. That silence entered the conversation before she even sat down. Her mother began immediately. "Naina, this behavior has been cruel." Naina slowly placed the gray folder on the table. Interesting opening sentence. Her father leaned forward. "You disrupted everyone's lives over childish emotions." "No," Naina replied calmly. "I stopped funding adults." Ria rolled her eyes dramatically. "Here we go." Naina opened the folder and slid the spreadsheet across the table. "You requested $4,500 from me for an engagement weekend I wasn't invited to." Ria frowned. "You were invited generally. There's no seat assignment, no dinner reservation, no villa room. My name appears only under payment responsibilities." Nobody answered. Naina continued quietly. "For 4 years you forgot my birthday. But somehow everyone remembered my bank account perfectly." Her mother crossed her arms. "You're being extremely dramatic about this." Naina placed another sheet onto the table. This is the fraud report filed after I removed authorized access to my own card. Then another. This is the declined venue charge attempted after I already said no. Then another. This is Ria calling me bitter online. Then another. This is Arav saying I became a horrible person for not funding his engagement. The table grew quieter with each page. Finally, her father snapped. You always keep score. No, Naina replied softly. I finally started paying attention. That sentence landed hard. Even Arav stopped looking at his phone. Her mother's eyes narrowed. So what exactly do you want? An apology? Naina looked at her for several long seconds. I wanted a family. Silence. Real silence this time. The kind that forces truth into the room whether anyone wants it there or not. Her mother looked away first. Ria scoffed uncomfortably. Arav rubbed his jaw. Her father's expression hardened because anger was easier than shame. You're overreacting. Naina nodded slowly. Maybe. But interestingly, none of you noticed my emotional reactions until money stopped flowing. Nobody spoke. Outside the cafe window, sailboats moved slowly across the water under pale afternoon sunlight. For the first time in years, Naina did not feel small inside her own family's presence. Her mother finally spoke again. You embarrassed us. Naina met her eyes calmly. No, I disappointed your expectations. That's different. Ria leaned forward sharply. So what now? You're cutting us off forever? Naina thought carefully before answering. No, I'm changing the terms. What does that even mean? It means I'm no longer funding relationships that cannot survive basic respect. Her father scoffed. You think money gives you power now? No, she replied quietly. Boundaries do. Again, silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Honest. Then something unexpected happened. Arav spoke softly for the first time all afternoon. I didn't know they forgot your birthday again. Naina looked at him carefully. You didn't remember either. His face changed slightly. Not defensive this time. Ashamed. It was small, but real. Ria immediately interrupted. Oh, please. Now she wants everyone groveling. Naina turned toward her sister slowly. No, she said calmly. I wanted consideration without having to collapse first. That sentence finally broke something open in the room, because nobody could honestly deny it anymore. Not after the invoices, not after the missing invitations, not after the fraud complaints, not after years of imbalance disguised as family obligation. Her mother suddenly looked older, tired. For the first time she spoke without performance. We didn't realize you felt this hurt. Naina almost laughed at the absurdity. You didn't realize because nobody was looking. Tears filled her mother's eyes immediately. But Naina no longer rushed to comfort emotions that appeared only after consequences arrived. She stayed still. Her father looked deeply uncomfortable now. The certainty he carried into the cafe had disappeared. Daniel once told Naina something important during law school. Plus, people often confuse access with love. When you remove access, you discover whether love was ever there independently. Now she finally understood. The meeting lasted another hour. Voices rose occasionally. Defensiveness returned several times. Ria refused accountability almost completely. But something fundamental had shifted. Naina stopped apologizing for existing. When the conversation finally ended, her mother asked quietly, Are you coming to the engagement? Naina considered the question carefully. Then she answered honestly, I don't know yet. And for once she let uncertainty belong to them instead of carrying all of it herself.